Good morning, everyone. We are learning Mishnah's Bikurim. We are in Perek Aleph, Chapter 1, Mishna Tes, Mishna 9. I'd like to dedicate this morning's learning in memory of my mother, Mr. Shalom Rabinowitz, Shalom Mispas Rabbi Yaakov Eliezer. The previous Mishnah said that if a person brought his Bikurim, the Mishnah said he brought his Bikurim to the Azara, to the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash, and that is where the Bikurim became impure. So they can't be brought anymore into the Beis HaMikdash. Nonetheless, he is not obligated to replace them, like if they were ruined in some way before he came to the Beis HaMikdash, because once you bring them to the Beis HaMikdash, to the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash, you've done the mitzvah. The mitzvah is done. And therefore, you don't have to replace them. And actually, although the case of the Mishnah was you brought them to the courtyard, we mentioned yesterday, that you don't even need to bring them as far as the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. It's enough that you brought them to the Harah, to the Temple Mount. And now Mishnah Test is going to continue from that. How do we know that he's going to be obligated to replace them until he comes to the Temple Mount? Meaning, how do we know that that's the point that we say the mitzvah is done and no need to replace them anymore? Shenamar, because the pasuk states, Reishis Bikurei Yad Bascha, the earliest of your first ripened fruits of the first ripe fruits of your land. Tavi Beis Hashem Elokecha, you shall bring to the house of Hashem your God. It says you should bring them to the house of Hashem your God. This teaches us you have to replace them until you come to the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is already called the house of Hashem your God. That's the place of Hashem's house, so to speak. And that's what the Torah says to do. Bring them to the house of Hashem your God. It doesn't say you have to bring them to the Beis HaMikdash itself. Bring them to the house of Hashem your God. That includes, although it says the house of Hashem your God, but we know that would be, in the Torah is not telling us specifically to bring it to the actual Beis HaMikdash. This means the area of the house of Hashem your God, and therefore, once you bring it to the Temple Mount, you already have fulfilled your mitzvah, and there's no need to have to replace them anymore after that. Now, the Mishnah continues. It is not continuing on this subject. It's going back on something else that was mentioned before. We mentioned before in Mishnah Zayin that if a person separates his Bikurim and then he sells his field, so the halacha is that he brings from that which already grew, but he doesn't read the passages of Bikurim. That was the seller. The buyer, if we're talking about what if it's from the same type that the first owner brought, so he does not bring from that. But from a different type, he does bring. And Rabbi Yehuda said that he could actually bring from that same type. And the question was that we have a way of deriving from the Torah that a person doesn't bring Bikurim twice. And the question is, does that mean that once a certain type of fruit from this field has been brought once, Bikurim is not brought again? Or does it have to do with the owner? The same owner doesn't bring Bikurim twice from the same thing, but a different owner maybe would. That is the argument that takes place in Mishnah Zayin. Now here the Mishnah says like this: a person brought from one type and he read the passages of Bikurim, and then he came back and brought from a different type. Meaning, we're obligated to bring Bikurim from whatever type of fruit that we are producing. Every new type of produce, meaning a fruit, you have to separate Bikurim from each type. Now, typically, I shouldn't say typically, but if whatever Bikurim you have, you can bring them all together, and then read the passages of Bikurim, you've done your mitzvah. But it could be that sometimes a person is going to bring one type, and maybe another type for some reason he couldn't bring. He's going to have to come back again with the other type. So the Mishnah's case is he brought from one type, meaning he brought from whatever the grapes that he had, and the Harah, and he read the passages of Bikurim. And now he brings Bikurim from another type, from the dates that he has, from the pomegranates that he has, which he's obligated to do. For some reason to do it the first time, but I was doing it now. Enukari. Although he's bringing the Bikurim and he's doing the mitzvah bringing the Bikurim, he does not read a second time. And this is based on the pasuk. The first two words that a person says from the passages that he recites is he got it Yayim Lashem Elokecha. I declare on this day to Hashem your God. Now, what does it mean? I declare this day. What's the point of this day? This day sounds like I declare this day. This day that I declare, I don't declare another day, which means that once I make this declaration, once I recite these passages, I'm not going to do it again, even though I still have a mitzvah to bring my bikurim from other types of fruits. We continue with the laws of Rechilas, Klal Ches, chapter 8 in the Chavetz Chaim. And we are in Sif Gimel. We are in paragraph 3. V'chein yesh lizar. So too one has to be careful. Now, the discussion here is what's called avak rechilas, a dusting of rechilas. Meaning you're not outright saying the rechilas, but the point is getting across. You ask your friend for a favor. And the friend responds, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So now, the person who asked for the favor and was just refused, he should not turn back to this person and refuse them and ask him, why did you help him with the favor that I asked you for a favor and you didn't help me? But you helped him. He told me himself that you helped him. Okay, so get what's going on here. What's happening is that the person isn't trying to say anything bad about that person, but he's saying to the person who refused the favor, how can you do that same favor to somebody else? That means, how do you know? Because somebody else told me. Because somebody else told me. So there, you shouldn't do that. Because it is very common through this. Now, the person you're telling is going to be upset with that person that he did a favor to, that he told other people about it, and now he's not going to be able to get himself out from helping the other people. So Reuven did Shimon a favor. Okay, Shimon told Levi about the favor that Reuven did for him. So Levi goes to Reuven and asks him for the same favor. Reuven says no. So Levi says to Reuven, how come you helped Shimon this way? You're not helping me. Shimon told me you helped him. Well, by Levi telling Reuven that Shimon revealed to Levi the favor that Reuven did for him, that could cause Reuven to be upset with Shimon because they don't want Shimon to go telling other people. Because now, if other people are going to ask him to do it, it's going to be harder for him to refuse. And he have a very legitimate reason why he can't do it. So therefore, here again, this is indirect rechilas. You didn't mean to make any problems by saying that he told me that you did him that favor. But at the end of the day, you are, because of the fact that now you're revealing to Reuven how this person revealed what he did for him, and you don't want him to do that. Okay. There are other examples of what would be forbidden because of a dusting of rechilas. Kagain, for instance. If you tell someone what someone else said about him, and it's not really essentially anything derogatory, it's something that people would mind a little bit, something that would be said in front of him. Meaning, Reuben says something about Shimon, and it's not really anything terrible, but it's something that people aren't so happy when people say this about them. Meaning, if Reuben were to say about Shimon this thing to his face, Shimon wouldn't necessarily, be so. It's not the most terrible thing in the world, but it's not something that people want said about them. So if now you go and you tell Shimon about what Reuben said about him, although it's not something derogatory, but it's something that Shimon would not like to be said to him, or to be said to him, so then you shouldn't tell him what Reuben said behind his back. Because even though what Reuben said wasn't necessarily bad, but since it's something that people do mind to some degree when that thing is said to them, so clearly they're not going to like the idea that it was said about them. And the last thing we'll do today, the fifth paragraph, a person has to keep a secret. If someone told you a secret, it means he told you a piece of information, and he told to you and he told you in a way that he is telling you it's a secret. He doesn't want you spreading it. Although by revealing what he said, there would be no issue of rechilas involved. Nonetheless, he still can't do it. Because when you reveal a secret, that could actually, a person may have had an idea to do something, and now that it gets out, he can't do it. So by revealing the secret, you're hurting him, because now he can't do what he planned on doing. Because apparently, I mean, it's a good chance that the reason why he's telling you this secret is because, again, he only wants to confide in you. He doesn't want to get out, because if it gets out, it's not going to be able, he won't be able to do what he wants to do. If you reveal a secret, meaning, again, it was made clear, it was done in a way that he doesn't want you spreading it, and you spread it, you have now got out of the ways of tznius. Tznius, we sometimes call that modesty, but also means privacy. There's a certain level of privacy that has to be respected. And tznius has to do with privacy. It can manifest, this privacy manifests itself in different ways. But the point is that there is a concept of tznius, which means privacy. A person has to respect privacy. There are things that should remain private. And by going and revealing it, you have broken that path of privacy. And you're going against the will of the person who told you the secret. He confided in you, he didn't want you telling him, and you now basically betrayed him because of the fact that you now are going against what you know that he wanted. And therefore, for all these reasons, even if revealing the secret wouldn't be rechilas in any way, nonetheless, the mere fact that it's a secret is what obligates a person not to reveal it. Have a wonderful day.